Welcome to Health News and Views, a podcast dedicated to bringing some clarity to the health disparities in the Black and Brown communities. If you believe there's a connection between food, sickness, and health, then you're in the right place. Let's begin the process of unraveling the truth. And now, your host, Lynn Pete.
Well, greetings and welcome to another episode of Health News and Views, Food, the Final Frontier. Hi, I'm your host, Lynn Pete. Well, thanks for stopping by. Today on Health News and Views, we're going to take a look at the impact that the food industry and Big Pharma has on our health. And, these three industries are inextricably linked, as we have discussed in previous episodes, and they get to dictate what's for dinner. But first, the subject matter provided in this podcast or any of our other published documents is for informational purposes only. Food, the Final Frontier, and our partner, Health News and Views, does not attempt to treat, diagnose, or cure any disease or condition. Always check with your healthcare provider before making any lifestyle, dietary, or prescription drug changes. And now, here's a did you know? Now, here's a question. Which pie holds the record for the most requested and eaten at Thanksgiving? Sweet potato or pumpkin? You're not going to believe this. It's kind of like the 2024 presidential election, but the pumpkin won. What? Well, it's well known in some neighborhoods, regionally and ethnically, that the sweet potato pie is the only winner. And you could be excommunicated from the family event for thinking otherwise. Well, whichever one you choose, enjoy. Here's some food for thought. Have you heard of words like pesticides, insecticides, fungicides, genocides, herbicides, even homicide and suicide? Well, the definition for this suffix, which is the end of the word side, it means killer or acting the act of killing. Why are we always more interested in killing something as a means of fixing it? So insecticide means that we're killing insects, yes? Pesticides means we're killing pests. It could be rodents or anything we deem as an unwanted nuisance. And therefore, suicide is killing of oneself. Homicide is killing of other human beings, and so on. And the human propensity of killing things in an effort to fix a problem may lead to our very own destruction. Well, when it comes to food, water, agriculture, there is an organization called the Environmental Working Group. It's a nonprofit organization. It's been around for 31 years. And they are an American activist group that specializes in the research and advocacy in these areas: agriculture, toxic chemicals, drinking waters, corporate accountability, Teflon pans, and the whole bit. And I personally support this group. You may have heard of them. Every year they provide us with the Dirty Dozen list, and that's for fruits and veggies that are highly sprayed with insecticides and pesticides. Well, of course, for our benefit, yes? No. Let's think for a moment. The food industry is spraying poison on our food to kill insects and pests for our benefit, right? According to one of my many sources, they say that many insecticides and pesticides remain on the surface of the produce. So washing with water can help remove some of this residue. However, they're stating that some chemicals are absorbed into the produce, making them difficult to remove, whether you wash it or peel off the skin. Okay, so we're ingesting some chemicals too? Well, why would I believe that over time, with continuous consumption, that the chemicals that are killing the bugs and the rodents are not also killing me and you? I'm just saying. Well, here's a testimony for buying organic foods and veggies as much as you possibly can, yes? And make sure you get it from a farmer's market that you trust. In nature, there's killing too, okay? And don't go overboard. But the destruction, for example, of our red blood cells over 120 days, That's to replace them, though, but with new and healthy cells to maintain and sustain life. You may have heard of apoptosis, and if you haven't, I'll explain to you that it is your body's way of getting rid of damaged cells through a process called programmed cell death. And programmed means that the body knows that these cells need to die, and it manages the process from start to finish. So instead of growing and dividing like healthy cells, these cells have to go through an apoptosis followed by a set of steps that lead to their breakdown. Okay? We want that to happen. Apoptosis is a normal process that supports your health. Your body needs to get rid of these cells and they're too old or damaged and they don't work properly anymore. If these cells get to keep hanging around, they can harm you. And the cells with damaged DNA, guess what they can do? They can make copies of themselves and build up inside of your body, leading to things like cancer. You want that as a trade-off? Or other conditions. Apoptosis prevents all of this from happening, and that's according to the Cleveland Clinic. Now, unfortunately, we are, as humans in the United States, we are surrounded by a sort of a chemical warfare in our environment. But I posed a question. If the chemicals capable of killing insects and pests, and the pharmaceuticals there, and we also use pharmaceuticals that are capable of killing bacteria and fungus, then how much longer before we succumb to the same thing? And do these chemicals, whether it's insecticides or sprays or pharmaceuticals, have the ability to take out harmful substances for our food that we consume? Anyway, I digress. Since I'm pondering things, I might as well add this to the mix. If antibiotics are given to livestock for our consumption, aid in killing bacteria, and also as a side note, those antibiotics also plump up the animal, then if I eat the animal, I'm ingesting the chemicals and the pharmaceuticals that they ate. Yes? Just something to think about. Could this explain the fattening of the children and adults in the U.S.? It may be concerning that the pharmaceutical industry, the use of these pharmaceuticals, or particularly the antibiotics, is a concern to the healthcare industry because they say that the antibiotics that the farmers are using, because they know they do two things, they kill the bacteria, but they also fatten the livestock, are overused. These antibiotics, they reduce our availability when we need them. Since I'm still pondering, here's one more. This is the last one, I promise. If everything I buy in the supermarket is wrapped in or encased in plastic, why is there a push to promote the use of paper bags? What's the point there? Think of it. Your produce is sitting on a plastic tray. It's wrapped up in plastic. The food that we even get from the freezer is in a plastic bag. I digress. Reusable bags are also made with the chemicals that make the plastic bags. Just a thought. My observations also revealed that we tend to get wrapped up in political battles that don't protect or fight for the right of human existence. And maybe I'm just in a bubble, but is this too much to ask for safer food options that promote health and not contribute to poor health and chronic disease? How do we justify allowing a beverage company and beverage companies to put in 63 grams of sugar in a 20-ounce bottle of soda? 63 grams of sugar in 20 ounces converts to 15 3/4 teaspoons of sugar. Now, the reason why I know this, because I noticed my husband had decided to go out and get a soda, and I did go a little ballistic, but I came down after a while. Check your bottle. Could this be the reason why so many children and adults are so ramped up? 15 3/4 teaspoons in 20 ounces of water would make me crazy. This is another reason that we are so many of us. They're now saying 67%. That's a lot of people. 67% of the U.S. population is obese or overweight. At least 1 in 3, and they're saying that's going to change soon. It's going to be 1 in 2 soon, of us are pre-diabetic or diabetic. And remember, that was just the soda. We haven't talked about the other products that we're also consuming. What other familiar products are we ingesting that have increased their fat, salt, or sugar content that we're not even aware of? Oh, but once we have consumed the foods, and develop a chronic disease, Big Pharma is in the background waiting to help us and supported by, of course, the healthcare team, whom, by the way, have not even been trained in nutrition, but have been trained in medicine. The whole dang system needs to be overhauled. This misinformation and disinformation predicated on power, profit, and maybe the ability to pay should not and could not, and that we need an overhaul of the whole dang system. Misinformation and disinformation predicated on power, profit, and the ability to pay should not and cannot be the direction towards better health. Help me get the word out. Our collective lives depend on it. Thanks for stopping by the Health News and Views, Food, the Final Frontier. It's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, the change humanity needs begins with the courage of one, multiplied by the efforts of many. Make it a powerful day. Let's talk soon. Peace.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Health News and Views. Join us again next time as we continue to explore the correlation between food, sickness, and health. If you like the show, please subscribe and leave a review for Lynn. She would love to hear your comments. Thanks again for listening, and remember, food is the final frontier.